We started playing 14 years ago. Corey and I got together, and it was actually supposed to be a side project off of a band that I was already in. I was in a band called Rubberman back in the band that came out of high school, and we got signed out of high school as Rubberman, and we were playing quite often. And then Corey and I hooked up, and we started this what was meant to be a side project, blues project, and progressively over a couple of years, that project got really busy. And Rubberman started getting less busy, and it was kind of the natural progression. Corey and I put a little bit more time and effort into writing some of our own material for that project. And it wasn't blues. It ended up, we were writing rock songs. And
cool.
Over 14 years, it's kind of slowly merged into this, layered big rock sound that you hear from us now. It's certainly, a lot of fun for us to be able to get together and still have some of those roots. There's still, there's not a lot of blues in what we play, but if you hear a song like Big Slice, you can certainly hear the simplicity in the riff and how, the ZZ Top style, riff lends itself to, those bluesy roots.
Well, that's where rock comes from, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Blues, it's a natural progression.
The blues had a baby.
Totally. And it's cool that it happened naturally, too. It wasn't like, we want to be a rock band. It's like, no, we like blues, and this is what we're doing, and it just evolves into...
Pretty much when we started writing, that's when it just reared its ugly head.
Yeah, that's it. When the rock and roll started coming out, because we really did intend to try to write some blues songs, because we were a pretty focused blues band for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
My father was playing harmonica, and our sound and the equipment we were using was all kind of geared toward blues, but all you need to do really is just turn everything up a little bit, put a bit more grit on it, and you have a rock and roll song.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for so long, 14 years. What do you think the most important thing you've learned is along this journey?
To take separate cars.
That's it. To go back and become a lawyer. No, I mean we're so lucky that we get to wake up every day and play music. You learn a lot out on the road. I mean, you certainly do. You learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about the business. You would have asked me 14 years ago if you thought that I would be a businessman at this stage of my life. I would have told you never, because that was just never a concern. But this day and age, with the way the industry is that you got to be multitasker. You have to keep an eye on your business, and you're certainly so the business aspect of it has been a huge part of the learning curve.
How's it worked selling records in 2011? Is it tough? Because everyone says it's tough.
No, it's tough. It's tough. We're certainly tough. We were lucky enough to get out of our record contract. We fought pretty hard to do that over the last few years. We started up Big Slice Records, which is this last album came out on, with the intention of using it as it's basically an advertising tool.
Yeah.
It really is. These days, if you expect that you're going to make a lot of money on the actual hard copies or the digital downloads, I think you're selling yourself short. You got to realize that in the studio process is about creating the songs that you're going to be playing live. Having something that radio can play to, having a good demonstration of the music that you're about. But to go out and think that you're going to be making money on that as a product is maybe a little far-fetched.
So you guys are an indie band right now?
Well, absolutely. We're an indie band.
That's pretty huge, because your song went top 10 in Canada.
Yeah.
That never happens for an indie band.
No, it's great. The support's been fantastic, and I think because we live in such a great country with such eclectic kind of pockets all over the country.
Yeah.
But a unified idea that rock and roll is still a great music, and I think that
it's good to know that it's still alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, a lot of people will fight that. Say, no, it's pop music now. Everything's pop, everything's dance.
Well, I feel
it's cool that you guys are still waving that flag.
100%. Well, and the reason we can do it is because of stations like you guys, because people are willing to take risks with bands that are new, and because they're. No matter where you are in the country, there's a patriotic vibe, and if you hear a good tune and you want to get behind one of your bands, you get behind it, and stations like you guys have also given us the opportunity to come out. When you guys are spinning our stuff, it opens up brand new markets for us. We can come out here and play to new fans and get a chance to,
Let's face it too, people want to rock out, not pop out.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
but it's true. Yeah, you bring up a good point, man.
So you guys are playing in southern Alberta this weekend, playing Red Deer in Calgary, and then up to Edmonton as well. Why not Lethbridge? What happened?
Well, I don't know why. It was one of those legs where we had a pocket of time after Canadian Music Week last week, and because we're playing new markets too, we really try to play on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays when we know people are going to come out because it's we have had this great single success from the single that came out, but it's one single.
Yeah.
We're not a band where we can come out to these places and draw.
That's a good point, because I've had bands come out from Vancouver and we've played them, and they are here on a Monday, and it's me and our producer, and that's the only people that's at the show.
Yeah.
Because, they don't think that through, and that's great. That you guys do that.
With one single, you have to realize that you're still a Thursday, Friday, Saturday band where people, if they've got nothing to do tomorrow, they'll come to the show.
Yeah.
Maybe after a couple of singles, and people familiarize yourself, you come into the general area, you do radio interviews like this, whatever, and then people start catching on. We can come out on different days.
Talk about where you're from, Montreal.
Yeah.
Especially now with Arcade Fire winning a huge Grammy. That's an amazing music scene to grow up in and to work in. How has that influenced Jonas and the Massive Attraction?
Gives us hope, man, because they're indie also.
Yeah.
And to see that indie bands can still succeed and have international recognition, and us being an indie band also, it gives us some good hope, and it puts Montreal on the map too, and that's where we're from. So
yeah, it's good. It's a beautiful scene. It's such an eclectic melting pot, Montreal, and to know that an indie band like that can get on the international platform is great.
Because that happened, do you think record labels are obsolete? And with the success of you guys, do you guys even need a record label? Look at indie bands like the Decemberists. Huge for years and years and years, became successful, and
we just saw Sammy Hagar at Canadian Music Week, and he says you don't need a label.
Yeah.
They don't do anything for you.
Well, it's not completely true that they don't do anything for you. It's about team building. If you have the means to build your own teams, then you can. The thing is that a record label is a prefab team, right? They have all the connections. They've got the publicist, the distribution. They've got everything that you need, to function, to get out there. But if you can build your own team, and you can get your own publicists, and you can get your own distribution, and you can get somebody behind you, a good manager, then they can in theory be obsolete. But it's if you're willing to take on the work, because it's certainly not.
Well, it is a lot of work, and I don't think people realize that.
Yeah.
There's no perfect match neither. You do your best. Even if you have a record label but still, you have to get the perfect team, and even if you're small or with a big label, at that point you have to write great songs.
Yeah.
It always starts from that.
That's it, Marty. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about great songs. Let's talk about your record. It is Jonas and the Massive Attraction, self-titled. Big Slice is the single. Tell me about the story behind Big Slice.
Big Slice, how that came about?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was the last song we wrote for the album. We were going into the studio. We had booked a couple of months at B-Town Sound in Burlington. We were bouncing off ideas with Tog Salter, who was the head producer of the album. And we thought we had the album, and then a couple weeks before, Tog said, listen, when you guys are still in Montreal, why don't you get together, you and Corey, and write another big rock. We need a big, slam and rock track. So we came up with this idea, and it was one of those kind of classic 15-minute stories where we really did. We just hashed through it. He had a great guitar lick. I had it, and it was called Get Up or something originally.
Right.
And we brought it into the studio. We refined it a little bit. We simplified some stuff on it to give it a bit of a chunkier kind of hop. And we were sitting around. We still didn't have the lyric, and we'd ordered, ordered pizza or something. And it was just one of those stories where we were all sitting around, and somebody said, hey, you want the big slice? And big slice. When you're in the studio, your brain starts going a little wacky.
Yeah.
And that's just everybody. They started. You want the big slice? I want a big slice. And we literally just took it from there. And we weren't quite sure what big slice is or what it meant, but I don't know if I want to know.
Whatever it's doing,
What
it's
it-
connecting with a lot of people. So
Yeah.
you're on to something.
And who doesn't want a big slice?
I think everyone does. Totally.
So there you go.
Everyone wants a little of the good life and a little of the big slice.
Yeah.